So today's podcast is extremely special because this is the kind of work that SecondAct has been doing on ground as well, creating empowerment in the sanitation space. And I have a very beautiful person who is actually called the toilet man, or a person who actually left everything at 40 to change the world and the mindsets of people in the space of sanitation and environment. I'm talking about Jack Sim, who's the founder of the Restroom Association of Singapore, the World Toilet Organization, the World Toilet Day Initiative, and the Bottom of the Pyramid Hub. Formerly from the construction industry, Jack really decided to devote the rest of his life to social work after attaining financial independence at the age of 40. Jack, you are a hero, to say the least. So I'm so excited to talk about why did you start your life in this space at 40, that too? And what really prompted you to work in the space of toilets?
So thanks for inviting me. So basically, a human life is 80 years old. And after 80, you get all kind of diseases and became frail and can't remember uh, names and maybe arthritis or cataract and all kind of things comes to you. So your useful life is usually about 80 years. And after 40, I realized that it's no use trying to make money if you can get by and have enough to live, at least in decency. So the most purposeful thing to do is service. And the best service is the thing that people don't want to do. So I found toilet is something quite disgusting. And I wanted to make a difference. But it's not an attempt to be a hero, because you don't have to be a hero. It's the best thing is to be able to mobilize a lot of people to do good and be the instigator, the storyteller, and the orchestrator. And after that, everybody takes ownership, and then the impact can be very large. If I'm trying to do everything by myself, I will become eventually the obstacle to my mission. And even worse, the mission will become me. And that is something I need to avoid. And that's a trap that a lot of people who try to be a hero ends up with. So I really don't want to do that. Yeah.
No, it was more to do with the kind of work that you're doing, and especially when you are born in a country which is actually not a country which is, just like India. We the sanitation issues or the third world country issues are far more than where you were born and brought up. And to think of a concept like that and take it to the world, and feeling like, from so it's empathy, it is actually feeling from somebody else's shoes as well, and like also thinking for the world. So that makes you the hero. It's not about, it's not about the real meaning of a hero, but the work that you're doing. So we thank you for that, really.
So actually, Singapore was a very poor country when I was born in 1957. In 1965, we became independent from the British. And our condition of sanitation or even poverty is the same as Kenya. Our GDP was also the same as Kenya. And in 25, 30 years, we've transformed from a very poor country to one of the richest in the world.
Yes.
So I have seen that the good governance can make big changes. And if we unlock the spirit of enterprise of people and their good work ethics, then good governance can transform a country very quickly. So I think that definitely India is going through the same process and will become a very prosperous country with high quality of life in the years to come. We saw that China copied the Singapore model in 1978, and in the past 30 years, the country lifted 800 million people out of poverty by not accepting foreign aid or donation, but by market-based solutions. So I think this is not even empathy. This is actually how I grew up. So I do understand all the difficulty and inconvenience of having no electricity in my house, no toilet, uh, cholera outbreak, typhoid fever, and it's just that it is possible to get people out of poverty, and we should all do it, and it can be done.
So, Jack, my question comes, which I have been thinking a lot as well since I'm in this space. That why, when we know that this is the basis of our existence, health is the basis of our existence, clean, hygienic spaces is the must for, being there as people. Why don't we do this as a point of like, just in our DNA? Why should there be so much work which is required around it? Why don't we have this basic sense in us as humans? Why do you think we lack that?
Politicians has got many agenda competing for their attention. And the ones that make it priority, which is essentially to win votes and to stay in power, will be the ones that they do. So if we want sanitation to become normal and popular, then we need storytellers. We need to advocate so that we can drive enough demand that people would want to have toilet, and the politicians say, well, if I promise you toilet, I win election, I become your leader, then I will do that. So my job is to make sanitation an election issue everywhere so that the governments take over. Otherwise, you will never have scale. You're building some toilet yourself or fundraising, that's really hard work. But if you mobilize government, mobilize the UN system, mobilize the foreign aid, mobilize the demand of the people who wants the toilet themselves, even if nobody gives them money, they still want the toilet, then it will solve itself.
So, Jack, coming back again to, do you think that it is also a mindset issue? One is, of course, what you're saying.
Definitely.
So why are we not able to change, leave alone what government wants and, the election issue? But as people as well, we know that this is the basic thing that, harms us if we don't have a clean, hygienic space around us, and we don't look after our body, ourselves in a certain way. So why the mindset change doesn't happen? It's like the basic thing that everybody knows it. Then why don't we just do it? Don't we? And we all feel bad about it. It's not, nobody wants to go in shitty places. We want clean places.
Well, just as the politician, the individual poor family has also a lot of competing demands for their resources. So they have a certain amount of money, and they think of first having food, having shelter, having drinking water, and sending their children to school. And they didn't realize that preventing diseases, preventing themselves from being sick, is actually going to save a lot of money, and hand washing and good hygiene and sanitation is going to do that. Therefore, the moment they realize it, they will start doing it. But what happened is that if a whole village have a norm of not using toilet, then not having toilet and open defecation is actually normal. So they do the normal thing. Now you have to make toilet normal, and then they will do the normal thing. So the job is to transform this thing that nobody wants to speak about into a hot topic, make it very sexy, and then they realize that if they don't have a toilet, then they are not keeping up with the Jonases, they are not following the trends, and then they do the normal thing. When we go to villages and tribal area, we saw that they actually do have money. they just spend it on other priorities. For example, festivals. If they
Yeah.
spend so much money celebrating religious festival and New Year days and all that, that money can be used to build toilets. But this is the priorities, right? They also spend money on snacks. They spend money on alcohol for the husband.
That's
And
true.
I think all these priorities will shift. And then when they want to have a toilet and don't have enough money, but they want to, they will find ways. They will raise some chicken, sell it and make money, or plant vegetable, or do some entrepreneurial activities. The most important thing to start is make them want to have toilets.
Actually, it's very heartening when we go towards the highways, and there's a leading to the smaller cities, and for stretch together, like for kilometers together, there is no toilet facilities on either sides, on the highways. That's another issue that again I think we need to look at, that for women especially. Men just stand anywhere and they shouldn't be doing it, but they have at least some convenience, but women don't have it. And I think one, of course, that we don't have toilets in our own homes, that's certain people who can't afford it. Two, also having a big issue on the highways. And I think as common people, as people who have also this need, what do you think we can do as people? One is, of course, the government policies for which we need to change things around. What can we do as people for some?
I've driven from Delhi to Rajasthan, and on the highway, there are all the toilet stops and also pretty well maintained. So that's a good example. I think that there are a lot of business model that can make it sustainable because they put the toilet next to a food center. You can pump petrol over there. You can have a cup of tea. And I think that by having good toilet, you attract people to go spend their money, and then the business can maintain the toilet. So I think that people can run sustainable financial model with toilets. And this is done in developing country, in developed country. It just need the entrepreneurs to take the initiative and the opportunity.
And so, so your organization actually reached out because of like some fundraising that I thought that we can do. But being in the organizational space, you work with governments and organizations. Do you think there is some thought process besides climate change, of course, is something that we all talk about? How is sanitation in this space with big organizations and policies which are coming?
I think there are enough corporates who will support this if it is aligned with their corporate image, and they do this work and their stock prices go up. So it's a win-win situation because all the stock market investment nowadays need this ESG, right? Environment, social, and governance rating. And companies are moving more and more to do this, especially in India. You have this 2% CSR. So what we need to do is to keep on creating the popularity of toilets so that for the companies, it's actually very beneficial for them to be associated with this subject. The problem with the world today is that although the UN has 17 SDG, only one is overwhelming, and it's called carbon. And it's not even called climate change because they don't do a lot about climate change. They only talk about carbon, 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 and more carbon. And I think that this is the problem with media and with narrative. If everybody see the funding, the money going to carbon, then they forget about health, sanitation, water, electricity,
Yeah.
poverty. education, livelihood. So I like that the world remind itself that there are so many problems to solve, and all of them needs equitable attention and not just following uh, the topic of the month of the year and just only do carbon. It's a very sad stage that the entire development sector is just focused on carbon.
So, Jack, coming back to what your work is in the World Toilet ORG, how do you associate yourself, of course, as a policy changer, working with the governments? What else do you do? And if somebody wants to work in their capacity with you, how does one work with?
We work with a lot of volunteers all over the world, and anybody can join us if they are passionate about solving this problem.
Mhm.
And people who are tech people, they are communication people, they are um, business marketing people, all kind of people join us. And that is how we manage to mobilize everybody to work together. But the way I look at it, the biggest impact we can create is when government takes priority. And I'm very uh, happy that Prime Minister Modi actually did the Swachh Bharat campaign
Yes.
since 2013 or 14, and uh, move the mindset of an entire country towards wanting to have proper sanitation, and quoting Gandhi of saying that the toilet before independence. You see, the population of India is so huge, you will take 10, 15, 20 years to solve this problem, but it is catching momentum and it's good. Compared to 20 years ago when we first started the world first toilet summit in Singapore, and then we entered India in 2007 with President Abdul Kalam and
Yes.
the Crown Prince of Netherlands, and suddenly it became a fashion. Now, even in China, the president of China, Xi Jinping, is a toilet champion. So if you can see the two biggest countries leader are toilet champion, then you can have hope that other countries will do so. Brazil is catching up very well, and this year World Toilet Summit will be hosted by the Nigerian government. The president is coming, the deputy Secretary General of the UN is coming, and they're all Nigerians driving sanitation movement in Nigeria.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, if the world's two largest democracies, largest countries are thinking in this space, it might take time because of the number of people, because for everything we need that kind of infrastructure. But the mindset change has started. And I viewed it also because I was also going towards Rajasthan some time back. And we were visiting a village where, the women have empowered themselves into taking on responsibilities to make the villages now more friendlier to economy and socio-economic growth. And at every house, it was a very pleasant surprise that they have the focus as creating a toilet first and then doing the houses later. So definitely I can see the change coming in India, but a lot of work still has to be done, of course. So Jack, coming to now getting away from the toilet space, I want to know if Jack is not thinking toilet, what is he doing?
Oh, I'm doing a lot of things. For example, there's 4 billion people who earn less than $8 US a day, and this is half of the population of the world, which is 8 billion. And why should they be outside our formal economy? So I saw how Singapore turned from third world to first world, how Rwanda called themselves the Singapore of Africa and became the fastest growing country in poverty through market-based solution, and how India is also doing that. So I think that ending poverty would mean that if they earn money, they can have money to buy sanitation, buy water, send their children to school, have better food, and get out of poverty. So I think we cannot just focus on sanitation, just like we can't only focus on carbon. We have to focus on getting entire community out of poverty by their own talent and their own uh, hard work. So I am created the BOP hub, base of pyramid hub, and I think that there are 4,000 social entrepreneurs around the world, and we are orchestrating all the replication of this proven solution so that other people can copy all the solutions that are available. And in fact, all solutions for ending poverty are already available, whether it is fintech, agri-tech, edtech, whatever.
You're right.
It's just that we did not replicate it. So if we all knew what the best solutions are, we can solve and end poverty. Imagine that you drink a cup of coffee in Starbucks, it costs $6. Inside is 5 cents of coffee bean, and the labor is half a cent. It's ridiculous that the distribution of wealth is like that. So we need to create cooperative. We need to give the farmer a better price for their coffee, because even if they increase their coffee by 1 cent, it doesn't affect the end price. The end price is $6. And therefore, we need to take care that we can bring on another 4 billion new customers into our world formal economy. And when they earn more money, the velocity of money, the multiplier effect will create more jobs and more income distribution. And we don't need to have the rich concentration of wealth, concentration of industry. Right now, we celebrate a billionaire because he has $1 billion. In the future, we have to celebrate a billionaire as one that improves the life of 1 billion people, and a millionaire as one that improves the life of the 1 million people. And if you have money, we're not interested. We're not even looking at you. And then the recognition and the celebration of a human value is in how they serve people, how they help people. I think that will change the world.
Absolutely. And I think your thoughts are very radical. They're, of course, very supportive. I think, there is a need for people like you to think about how to eradicate, things which are the main issues of any country. And we need to build it all together. There is no other way. And I love that you like to collaborate, and you also know that you can't do it alone. And I think most people, like you said, they want to be the hero themselves, but this power of collaboration, of coming together and like having a voice, which is, for the world, I think that's all we need, and we will all come there. So, Jack, this is a podcast for Second Act. And Second Act, I say it's a higher meaning. It's a continuation, yet an evolution. It's a higher meaning or a purpose that we all live for. So what is your second act, Jack?
So I'm already doing my second act since 40. My first act is to get financial independence, run businesses, make some money, and then quit the rat race. So 25 years ago, now I'm 65, 25 years ago, I've quit the rat race and did not make any money for the last 25 years, except on rental income after I bought some properties. And I am now planning my third act. So second act is to do good. First act is to secure myself financially. And the third act is to retire from social work and to be an educator teaching in university, and also to spend time romancing my wife. Wow. Because in the last part of your life, you're not very useful, but you have to continue the love, the relationship, and enjoy my wife, so that eventually, all the children, they are going to have their own life, and the only person left with me will be her. And I think if we can allocate within one life all the aspect nicely, then on the last day, when I close my eyes and die, I could say, it was a beautiful journey. I did not miss anything. I did not die in the office. Uh, and I don't have to check my bank balance because that's not important.
Jack, I've got goosebumps listening to you on this one. I can feel every word that you're saying, and it's so beautiful to hear this, to be honest, and how important your wife, your family is, and all that you've been doing. Literally, at the end of like the second and the beginning of the third, may you get so much love and you spread so much love and be that hero in their lives.
No.
So, Jack,
Hero is really not a good thing. Don't be a hero.
yeah,
Just be a servant. Because when you die, it's not important that people remember you. It's important that the work is now taken over by other people and the world gets better.
so nice.
Because when you're dead, you don't know what's going on anymore. There's no need for people to remember you.
Well, I always want people to remember me, Jack, and that's what I want to do in my second act. That's the disconnect. But it's so lovely to catch up, and thank you for your time. I know that it wasn't easy for you. It's really that you've taken out this special moment for me. It will always remain in my heart for somebody like you who's doing so much for the world. May God bless you. May you have a healthy next act, and may you, go back so fulfilled and so loving. So thanks, Jack. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. Thank you very much.